question comes from Castlemaine Safe Space, which is a non-clinical drop-in space for anyone in emotional distress or experiencing loneliness or suicidal thoughts. Castlemaine Safe Space is community designed and led, staffed by trained peer volunteers with lived experience. So their question is, would you support and advocate for future funding to ensure the sustainability of Castlemaine Safe Space? And if so, how would you do this? Any takers? All right, great. I'll come to you first, Kerrie, and then you go.
Is it working? Yay! Again, compliments to all the groups that are behind these questions. They're excellent, and it really shows a lot of thought that's gone into what's the direction of this Shire going to look like. I'm really impressed with the passion with these community groups. Would I advocate for increased funding? Absolutely. This is just one example of something that is critical for getting back to resilience, a resilient community. I also would take that a step further by saying funding wouldn't necessarily need to come from ratepayers. So looking at Council's annual report, over 50% of the income comes from rates. On the flip side, when we look at expenses, 41% of expenses in council costs, staff costs. So straight away that leaves me with a financial corporate background thinking, are there some efficiencies here that we could look at? Could we maybe review council expenses to see if there's some savings to be had to put back into community? And this would be one key example of where we could siphon those funds. There's any number of other ideas I've got that hopefully later on we'll have time to touch on. But resilience of the community, environmental protection, water for wildlife in our green spaces, in our parks, in our forests, where we can work with Parks Victoria. I'd also like to see funds getting channelled back into community groups and landowners and residents for their conservation work. Because I know farmers get a lot of assistance by way of grants and council incentives to look after the environment, but the rest of us often don't. So they're just some ideas that I've got. I think ratepayers don't necessarily need to fund more, but there could perhaps be efficiencies in council. Thank you.
What a great question. I really applaud the Safe Spaces initiative in this Shire. That's a topic very dear to my heart. I spent 20 years working in suicide prevention and suicide response as a social worker in this Shire and elsewhere. The sad fact is that for people in Australia aged 15 to 30, suicide is the leading cause of death. We need to do whatever we can to address suicide locally, particularly for young people. Safe Spaces is a great initiative because it offers literally a safe space for people to go and get support around whatever mental health, depression, anxiety or other challenges they're dealing with. I think it needs the full council support, it needs to expand, and it needs to attract well-qualified and experienced people to offer that support. As a councillor, I would fully support it.